What's up, everybody? Good evening. Hope you're all doing great. This beautiful Wednesday, and in this live stream, we're going to be watching the speech by Jerome Powell live. I still have to find the link, so that's what I'll try to do first, and then I'll also share the live stream on all socials. But first of all, how's everyone doing? Is everyone having a good week so far? And if anybody has a if anybody has a link on where we can watch this live stream, which hopefully I did plan it out well, then let me know. I'm trying to find it right now, but I haven't been I haven't been lucky yet. Okay, I think I found a live stream. Maybe it's copyrighted, but that shouldn't matter too much. Hopefully they're not they don't have hawk eyes on the channel here. Yeah, I think we have a live stream. All right. Well, let me quickly share the stream here, and then we'll get going. I mean, the live stream is starting in like 7 minutes. I'll keep an eye on it here to the left. But it's starting soon, but we still have a couple of minutes left. So let me quickly send some messages out here, and that's the best way to start. The market today was quite good. I mean, we had some nice volume. Maybe it's a little bit of front running the press conference here tonight, that we're expecting some sort of good news, and that if we do not get any good news, that we're going to sell back down. That's a possibility. But so far, taking a look at Bitcoin, price action is pretty good. I mean, you can see we broke above the previous day value area low right here, which usually means we can traverse all the way back up to the top right here. So then the main price target would be 86,000. I still thought this morning it would be more likely that we would actually find rejection here and go back down. But we did talk about the possibility of reclaiming this level with volume, which I mean, you can see the volume down here. It's very small, but hopefully you can still see that the volume was pretty good. So in the end, it was invalidated. I mean, I did not have any positions personally on our big friend Bitcoin. But you can see quite a lot of volatility. I tend to think, or at least I at this point of time, I'm thinking that that this is some sort of front running ahead of the speech. By the way, is this not good enough? There, this way you can see it, right? The analysis. But right, well, welcome to the stream, everybody. Again, if you're tuning in a bit later, I mean, usually I'm also a bit later with these live streams, so it doesn't matter. Overall, let me know how the audio is. Let me know how the connection is. The connection for me shows that it's not amazing. My screen larger. It's what do you mean? Like, is this large enough or not? It should be large. I cannot make it larger than this. I mean, I might need to buy a new monitor, but that's not something I can do during this stream, of course. No, Bitcoin pumping. I mean, like I said, just in general, like the markets have been quite strong if you zoom out here. So that's pretty good. But then I think it's also some sort of front running, some sort of good news from the speech in a moment. That is a possibility. It should start relatively soon. I do have a stream here to my left, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure if that's the right link. I'll check if I can find some other links. It's a speech at the Economic Club of Chicago, I think. Is that true? Yeah, of Chicago. So we should be able to find out a little bit more there. There we go. They do have some events today. Yeah, should be right now. So it already says past events. But I'm still watching a live stream right here where people are at least waiting for someone to come up. So we'll wait for that. I mean, it should be in 3 minutes, so maybe it takes a little bit longer. I mean, these people also tend to be late sometimes. But all right. No, Motorhead. Look, Powell. It's not an interest rate decision, right? So most like the rate is not going to change tonight. But what we're looking for is Robo writes. Listen, I say the word relatively much to relatively a lot, but also absolutely too often. All right. So thank you for calling me out on that, because you're absolutely right. I do love it. Jerome is in Chi-town. He's in Chirac. That's what they call it, right? But no, I mean, look, like I said, they're not going to change the interest rates with this speech. But what he might say is he might give us some sort of an indication of what the Federal Reserve is thinking right now, right? And that matters as well. That can make the markets move, and I think that's one of the key reasons why the market is moving right now. Although I must say that's slightly invalidated, since we do not really see any of that reaction from the stock markets. So this might just be crypto degenerates leveraging into longs ahead of this, hoping for some sort of a better environment for risk on assets. But ultimately, I mean, this price action is still relatively strange, I'd say. Price action like this we haven't seen in a while, and the last time we saw it was in the last couple of days. I mean, the last couple of days, this move up, we also often had some pretty strange price action. But if this continues, and if we're able to get a break above 86,000 here, I mean, then we might have to assume that we're going to go into 88,000 and that we might even retest this level right here towards 91,000. I'm testing some audio, by the way, so that if the live stream actually starts, I'll be able to instantly show it to you. I cannot have subtitles on. That's it's a bit of a problem. It's a little bit annoying because then subtitles are always better. And then I can also easily chip in and say, all right, well, this is important, or all right, this doesn't matter. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but it hasn't started yet. I know it's almost half past 7 here at least, depending on your time zone, but it hasn't started yet. We'll take a look at the 30-minute time frame chart right here for Bitcoin. We'll have the TPO, as you can see right here. We have very beautifully reclaimed into that previous day value area low. Main target right now is still 86,000. 86,000 is also the value area high, aka the range high of the balance we had before during the middle of March into the beginning of April. So that's still the main level to hold. There's some price action here. What's going on? Did we have some other news? I'm trying to follow everything, but there's quite a lot of volatility right now, and I'm not sure why. I don't see anything. I don't see anything major. Let me see. Yeah, I mean there's a big red candle right here, but I don't see anything yet. Is it because he's late? It might be. No, it's not, of course, but still. Let me see. Speech. Yeah, it's not happening yet, or at least so far. I don't see the light, or at least I don't see him walking on yet. So he's a little bit late. That's great, but like I said, there is some volatility already. It's a little bit bearish, but I don't see any news. Has anybody seen some news here? Cloud9, a rate cut in May would be bullish, because at this point of time, I think the probability of a May rate cut is about 20%. So if they actually do cut it in May, that gives some sort of an indication that they're going to be more hawkish with the monetary policy. So that would be great, right? Right now, the highest likelihood is a rate cut in June, right? So getting that would be according to the market circumstances, or according to the market expectation. Getting it earlier would be bullish. Roborites. I think Chicago is like a major financial hub, right? So I think that's just it. I mean, they have these meetings in Washington D.C., New York, Chicago. I think that's about it. I mean, I don't really I've never heard of one of these things in in Los Angeles, but still. And thank you, Simar. I saw your comments. Bruno, I know there's a small gap here. But we have a lot of gaps. So in the end, not sure if that's going to matter too much here on the short term. It's starting. I mean, I don't see a speech yet. If anybody has a better link, then let me know. But right now, I don't see it. Zaid, thank you very much. So far, just volatility. I mean, Bitcoin. This is very low time frame analysis, right? So don't go too much in there. Don't believe this too much. But the main level right here is 84,700. That's the main level to hold right here. Drop down below that, and this could be a fake out, and we could still run back the entire move down. So that is something to be aware of. There's nothing going on yet. I do see someone talking here on the Economic Club of Chicago, but I think it's just the start, right? So I mean, let me put this on real quick. It might be starting. Okay, you can see this, right? Who is this?
To introduce our guest, two of the.
All right, this is it. I think this is it. We're going to be watching this. We're going to be watching this, and I will give my thoughts during the event. All right. So during when he's speaking, I might turn it off every now and then, excuse me. I might turn it off here and there when he says something interesting, and then we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about whether that's bullish or bearish, and in between I'll also talk about the price of Bitcoin right here, which right now is very volatile, but if he says anything that I think can actually change the markets right here, then I'll let you know, right? But let me know if the audio is alright. Let me know if you see the screen correctly. I think he's introducing him right now, and then I'll turn my sound down. I'll turn my sound off, and you most likely will be able to listen to what he's saying. I don't have any subtitles right now. That's a little bit unfortunate, but still. Nothing yet, and I turned off my audio. Yeah, listen. There is, by the way, I mean, I'll share the link here. There is a delay, all right? These streams on YouTube have like a 15 or 30 second delay, so you should know that. I mean, you should. It might be better to watch the stream yourself if you want to make quick action moves here. I mean, that's personally not something I'll do, but still. No, I know Cloud9. I'll turn it on when Jerome Powell is actually speaking, because I don't think what he's saying matters a lot, at least not for the crypto markets. For now, just volatility in the markets, as you can see right here as well. Yeah, somebody can come get this guy out of here.
Educational institutions, including the Bendham Center for Finance at Princeton and the Nature Conservancy of Washington, D.C. and Maryland. He is a D.C. native, received a BA in politics from Princeton and a law degree from Georgetown University, where he was editor of the Georgetown Law Journal. Please welcome to the Economic Club of Chicago again, Chair Jerome Powell.
All right, here we go. Now he's going to talk. If he says something interesting, I'll tune back in. We'll take a look at the markets, and that's how we're going to do it. All right. Like I said, there is a little bit of a delay, so I pinned the link of the speech in the comments. Make sure to have it on yourself as well. But for now, let's tune in. I'm very Dutch, very, very, very Dutch. All right, let's get going.
Back in Chicago, and thanks for that kind introduction. First, I'll briefly discuss the outlook for the economy and monetary policy. So, at the Fed, we are always focused on the dual mandate goals that Congress has given us: maximum employment and stable prices. Despite heightened uncertainty and downside risks, the U.S. economy is still in a solid position. The labor market is at or near maximum employment. Inflation has come down a great deal, but is still running a bit above our 2% objective. Turning briefly to the incoming data, we'll get the initial reading on first quarter GDP in a couple of weeks.
Slightly bullish, a slightly positive tone so far.
Slowed in the first quarter of this year from last year's solid pace. Despite strong motor vehicle sales, overall consumer spending appears to have grown modestly. In addition, strong imports during the first quarter, reflecting attempts by businesses to get ahead of potential tariffs, are expected to weigh on GDP growth. Surveys of households and businesses report a sharp decline in sentiment and elevated uncertainty about the outlook, largely reflecting trade policy concerns. Outside forecasts for the full year are coming down, and for the most part point to continued slowing but still positive growth. We are closely tracking incoming data as households and businesses continue.
All right, what isn't working? Which audio? The audio of him speaking is not working? All right, let me check. Let me see if I can find a better live stream. Okay, let me see if this is better. I don't think this is... maybe this is... Okay, now at least we have some subtitles.
Appears to be in solid condition and broadly in balance, and is not a significant source of inflationary.
Let me know if this is better. It should be better, and now we actually have some subtitles, so that's definitely better.
It has significantly eased from its pandemic highs of mid-2022 without the kind of painful rise in unemployment that has frequently accompanied efforts to bring down high inflation. Progress on inflation continues at a gradual pace, and recent readings remain above our 2% objective. Estimates based on the most recent data from last week show that total headline PCE prices rose 2.3% over the 12 months ending in March, and that excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core prices rose 2.6%. Looking forward, the new administration is in the process of implementing substantial policy changes in 4 distinct areas: trade, immigration, fiscal policy, and regulation. These policies are still evolving, and their effects on the economy remain highly uncertain. As we learn more, we will continue to update our assessment. The level of tariff increases announced so far is significantly larger than anticipated, and the same is likely to be true of the economic effects, which will include higher inflation and slower growth.
This is slightly bearish. This could be perceived as slightly bearish by the markets.
Expectations have moved up significantly, with survey participants pointing to tariffs. Survey measures of longer-term inflation expectations, for the most part, appear to remain well anchored as well. Market-based break-evens continue to run close to 2%. So, as we gain a better understanding of the policy changes, we'll have a better sense of the implications for the economy and hence for monetary policy. Tariffs are highly likely to generate at least a temporary rise in inflation. The inflationary effects could also be more.
slightly bearish this, but it's also kind of what he already said. But we'll talk about it a bit later.
It takes for them to pass through fully to prices, and ultimately on keeping longer-term inflation expectations well anchored. Our obligation is to keep longer-term inflation expectations well anchored and to make certain that a one-time increase in the price level does not become an ongoing inflation problem. As we act to meet that obligation, we will balance our maximum employment and price stability mandates, keeping in mind that without price stability, we cannot achieve the long periods of strong labor market conditions that benefit all Americans. We may find ourselves in the challenging scenario in which our dual mandate goals are in tension. If that were to occur, we would consider how far the economy is from each goal and the potentially different time horizons over which those respective gaps would be anticipated to close. As that great Chicagoan Ferris Bueller once noted, life moves pretty fast. For the time being, we are well positioned to wait for greater clarity before considering any adjustments to our policy stance. We continue to analyze the incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. We understand that elevated levels of unemployment or inflation can be damaging and painful for communities, families, and businesses. We will continue to do everything we can to achieve our maximum employment and price stability goals. Thank you, and I look forward to our discussion.
All right. Well, I think that is the first thing we need to talk about. I don't know. It was all right. There were two things. Excuse that. Let's talk about the technicals. Let's talk about the fundamentals. He started off by talking about the U.S. economy, which is still in a good spot. This is a lot of bearish pressure. It really seems like the market front ran the bullish momentum. But initially he said that the U.S. economy is in a good spot. That's good. However, talking about the tariffs, which is one of the main things that we really wanted to hear about, what he said is that they had underestimated how high the tariffs would be, so that therefore they right now have to adjust their estimates, which is most likely going to be bearish, because he said they're expecting more, at least short-term inflation because of that. So what that means, I haven't looked at the data. We'll take a look at the data in a moment. But that most likely means that rate cuts in May and June are the next two meetings, are less likely. And that is bearish for risk on assets. And it seems like the price action right now today, a lot of the strength we saw was people front running some sort of a bullish result of this meeting. And now it seems like we're not getting that bullish result. They're still talking, they're still in discussion, and we'll tune into a moment. We'll tune into that in a moment to see if they're still talking about something interesting, or that this is just blah blah blah. So we'll talk about that in a moment. But right now it's not looking great, right? And I doubt that he's going to say anything right here that could push the markets up. You can see the stock markets are also going down, so it really seems like the markets expected some sort of bullish news, and I gotta be honest. I mean, if we're like we were able to break above this previous day value area low right here. Hopefully you can see this, but we were able to break above this and hold it. If we drop back down into the value area high right here at 82,200, it's very likely we're going for these poor lows right here at 83,200. And from there, we might have a cascading effect all the way back down towards 82,800. So it's not looking great. I gotta say, it's looking better for my short. so that's the good news. Which is also that's doing pretty good. But this is not great. Let's tune in. Let's tune in for a moment to the live stream to make sure. I have to calm down, right? I have to calm down, but to make sure that nothing major is being talked about again, or at this point of time, and then we'll get back to the charts, and then I'll also try to answer some questions in the comments. But let's tune in for a brief moment here. I turned this off.
Mentioned dryers, when washing machine prices went up because of tariffs, dryer prices also went up in tandem, even though they weren't tariffed. What's your sense about the effects of tariffs on inflation? What would make them more persistent, and what would make them have effects on growth?
So, in a kind of a simple starting point is one tariff comes in that gets passed along in prices and raises inflation, but it's just a one-time thing. So the price level goes up, and that's it. But that can happen in some circumstances, but it depends on a number of things which we don't know yet. And I would point to a couple of them, or three of them actually. One is just the size of the effects. And as I mentioned, the tariffs are larger than forecasters had expected, certainly larger than we expected, even in our upside case. We looked at a range of cases. So that's one. The second one is how long does it take for the tariffs to have their effects on inflation? To the extent it takes longer and longer, that raises the risks that the public will begin to experience higher inflation. They'll come to expect it, and companies will come to expect it. So that risks higher inflation. And the third is just what I mentioned in my speech, which is my remarks, which is got to keep inflation expectations well anchored. So if we have those three things under control, that's what it will take. And indeed, our role is to make sure that this will be a one-time increase in prices and not something that turns into an ongoing inflation process. That's a big part of our job.
What about the effects of tariffs on quantities? With the level of tariffs that, for example, have been currently applied on China, there's a fear that the supply chain may get disrupted, that firms may not be able to import their relevant stuff from China given the level of prices. If it turns into a supply shock, would the Fed's
All right, that's enough. That's enough of listening to it. But all right, nothing new came out of that. I think they were talking about the tariffs, and it does seem in general that Jerome Powell is at least that these tariffs, at least for now, will not be good for monetary policy. Let me quickly take a look at the odds right now, right? Because we'll take a look at the technicals in a moment, because I think the technicals for Bitcoin matter as well. And to be completely fair here, the technicals are not looking great with where the price is right now, but things can change, right? We might even miss something. We might even miss something interesting that's being said. But at this point of time, the market is not reacting very, very positively, as you can see, and that further confirms what I thought, that the market was expecting something more from this speech. But it also, look, what was talked about quite a lot in his market outlook, but also in the quick snippet of an interview we saw, was the effect of tariffs. And what he's basically saying is that, well, first of all, it's more than we expected. So that's bad for monetary policy. If it's more than what they expected, then we can no longer trust what they said at previous meetings. All right, in previous meetings, they were still talking about 2 rate cuts. So if it's worse than what they expected, maybe we can no longer expect those 2 rate cuts, and that would be bearish for risk on markets. Now, if you go to FedWatch, which I'll leave this link down in the description, it's just in general, it's a useful site. You'll see the probabilities, right? And right now, for the 7th of May, I think the probabilities of getting a rate cut in May were higher. At this point of time, they're 15.5%. And the probabilities for a rate cut at the 18th of June, I think they were higher as well. Right now, they're 58.5%. Right now, the rates are at 425, 450. It's very small, I know, but I cannot really increase the size. Well, a little bit. So right now, the rates are at 425, 450. If we take a look at the probabilities right here for December, at this point of time, people are still expecting like two, three rate cuts. But if that changes, if the outlook of the market on the monetary policy changes, that will be bearish for crypto. All right, so that's in general. I mean, this was one speech. This speech might not matter that much. That's a possibility, but what it means for the price of Bitcoin right now, and subsequently almost all altcoins. All right, because you can see right now, the almost the entire altcoin market right now. Obviously not everything. I mean, there's always coins that outperform, and there's always coins that underperform. But almost the entirety of major altcoins, at least, are moving together with Bitcoin right now. The Bitcoin dominance has been quite high. And then right now, what you can see, look, what matters a lot for Bitcoin right here, in my opinion, is this level right here between 84,000 and 84,200, excuse me, and 84,000, right? So let's say this is the main level I'm personally looking at. This level is the previous month POC. So it's an area where a lot of volume is transacted, where a lot of liquidity is. So that means that there's a bit of a magnet to that level. But it's also where the value area high of the current balance of today is. So we broke above that initially today during after the New York opening. But it looks like, and that has yet to be confirmed, it looks like we're dropping back down into that area right here, into the value area. So then a move into 83,200 is very likely if we're going to be closing below 84,200. By the way, like I said, that is still the main level. And then if we actually accept back into this balance right here, then all of a sudden, to me, it still looks quite likely that we can also retest so some other previous support levels, right? So for example, right here, you have a poor low. You have a naked POC right here. And then all the way down here at 80,000, you still have a pretty big imbalance. And this might not all make sense because my charts are very, very messy. But just trust me when I say that there's a lot of targets still to the downside that need to get filled at some point of time. So for now, look, I won't make this stream too long because I don't want to take up too much of your evening. And we'll still talk about some questions in a moment. But for now, my eyes are on that level right here at 84,200. If we drop down below that and we hold that as resistance, I think the chances of a continued sell-off right here in positions is very likely. All right, and then I'm talking, look, we have a lot of support. So if we zoom all the way out here for Bitcoin, do I think we will drop down lower than 80,000? No. But like I said, if we drop down below 84,200 right here and we're unable to hold prices above that, I do think it's quite likely we'll drop down into those levels, which for some of us might actually be pretty bad, all right? Especially if you're in some leveraged positions. The only position that I'm in is a short, so I'm not too worried about that. That's actually doing pretty well. At the moment, so that's great, but that is something, you know, we need to take into account and something we need to be wary of, I think. So that's the main thing I'm looking at regarding Bitcoin. I know a lot of you are interested in XRP as well. XRP is basically doing the same thing, right? I mean, XRP is actually holding on. First of all, XRP is holding on relatively well, as expected, because we knew that XRP BTC is at a support level. But that means that, you know, for XRP, if Bitcoin is going to fall down lower, which seems most likely right now, then XRP will fall down lower as well. But I do think XRP will be able to hold support. All right. So for now, like I said, and I'll repeat it again, the speech we just had was more bearish than expected because we basically got no bullish outcome. And to add to that, he was also slightly bearish about the tariffs. Now, though, the main question is all right, well, we're trying to break down below 84,200 with Bitcoin. Will we actually break down below that? And will we then hold it as resistance? If the answer is yes, we're going down lower. If the answer is no, and we're able to reclaim 84,200, I think we'll just remain stable. Is that a realistic possibility? Yes, I do think so. All right, let's do some. Let's talk about some questions here. The Cilinix Telegram group is the best. Come on, guys. Even the free one is the best. There's free news from a lot of sources. There's some great information in there. The Signal group, I mean, it's very hard to go against the Signal group. I mean, we have potentially one of the best communities in the entirety of crypto. But still, like I said, the Cilinix community Telegram is also nice. Case Sanders, that sound was my alerts going off. There were some alerts on Gun USDT going off. I have some alerts on that, so that's probably what you heard. What you heard. And Dutch Mutant, I completely agree. I mean, at some point of time, they are going to start negotiations with China, but it seems a little bit early. I mean, I do think somewhere in April they will, but I mean, it's betting on that and trading on that is just speculation, I think. Simar, we have the Signal chat room for there for that, but yes, it's still valid. Yeah, I also have Discord, but our Discord server is very quiet. I mean, I try to respond to everyone in there, but the Telegram group is much more active, and it's also much bigger, and just in general, honestly, I prefer Telegram to Discord. I mean, Discord can be great, but yeah. Kepler Lima, not necessarily. I mean, I know it's a little bit paradoxical, but a good job market also means that people still have money, and if people still have money, they will spend it, and if people keep spending money, the inflation rate the inflation rate can still drop down, but the inflation rate is harder to get down. So the job market being good is not always a good indication of, or at least it's not always good for the financial markets. It's a bit of a paradoxical relationship, and it's also not always true. For example, back in August, we had unemployment rates that was much higher than expected, and then all of a sudden we got recession fears, and that's also not good, right? So you want people losing their jobs, but not too much, which I know sounds strange, but that is usually how monetary policy goes. Sumur, it should be in the video description, to be fair. Arcanda, no, I would not long XRP. I would long XRP from lower, and after some sort of a reclaim. But alright, yeah, Tom, it could be that he's talking about raising rates, because he was quite bearish about the tariffs, right? So yeah, could be. But alright, we're going to close the stream here. Like I said, main level is 84,200. It seems like we have accepted back into that. Now the main level seems to be this level right here, around 82,800. There we have the 30-day rolling VWAP. Drop down below that, and we're going for the low 80s. But I don't expect this to become a major crash. More bearish momentum, I do expect, but there is some support right here, and just in general, I don't see a reason why we should crash all the way down to 80,000 very, very quickly. But ultimately, that is my most likely direction and destination for now. And that's it, guys. That's going to be the stream. I'll be back with another stream soon, hopefully in the weekend or something. But I'm not sure. I mean, it's also Easter, so people are most likely going to be quite busy. That's fine. Huge fair value gap, by the way. So that's also, we're at support right here. We can actually fill a lot of that imbalance. But like I said, 84,200. If we're able to reclaim that, good news. If we find rejection there, bad news. And that's it. Thank you all for being here at the stream. I'll talk to you all in the Telegram, in the Discord groups, or anywhere in the comments. I try to respond to a lot of comments on YouTube as well. Was a great stream, I think. Hopefully it was also valuable for all of you, that we could give some live commentary on the markets. If you watched the live stream, I think we were quite quick with saying, all right, well, what he's saying right now is relatively bearish. I think the first time we said that was at like 84,500. So hopefully it helped. All right, I'll be back with new videos tomorrow. I have some great news. I'm launching a new channel for stock analysis. All right, so if you actually invest in stocks and trade stocks, which I do both, then that might be interesting to you as well. I also will analyze gold on there. So yeah, check that out. More news about that coming very, very soon. But for now, that's it. So thank you all for being here in the live stream. Appreciate you all very much, and